Away from that, to our main focus on tonight's program. May 29 was the one-year anniversary of the democratic administrations in this current dispensation. On the side of the federal government, it was a low-key celebration. But for some state governments, they rolled out the drums as they reeled out their scorecards. For most citizens, they had different shades of opinions and views on the assessment of 1 year of governance. This also comes at a time when economic indices reflect a not-so-good picture of a country already, of a country yet to prosper and benefit from the gains of government policies, plans and programs. Also, this comes at a time when there is still a disagreement over the new national minimum wage. Today on the program, my guest is the Executive Governor of Katsina State, Malam Diko Umaru Rada. Welcome to the program, Your Excellency.
Thank you so very much.
And I'll tell you, congratulations on your 1 year anniversary.
Thank you so very much.
Yes, 1 year of the Diko Rada administration in Katsina State. You met the state at a time when insecurity was rife, when there were a lot of issues. But let's start by saying, in 1 year now, how far have you come?
You know, thank you very much. 1 year is not enough to gauge an administration. But the only difference we had in Katsina was that we prepared for the office for the last 2 years before the election. So when we had all our plans, our strategy and everything, what we were able to do is once we were sworn in, we swung into action. And that was the reason why we were able to achieve so much within the 1 year in office. And we have done a lot, and we concentrated highly on the area of insecurity, which was one of the major campaign promises we made to the people when we were electioneering campaigning. And that gave us a leverage. So in our first 1 month, we were able to gather some young men and women who came from that locality into what we call Katsina State Community Watch. And then we took the law into the National State Assembly, and they were able to enact the law, and we swung into action. We trained them in connection with the military and the police, which have really greatly helped us in putting the things together. We did everything that you expect, and then we send them into the field.
But has it helped in reducing insecurity?
It has helped greatly in reducing the insecurity in the state, because let me just tell you an indices. When we came in as a government, we had about 23 local governments that on a daily basis people are being killed, kidnapped, and then a lot of other criminalities going on in those local governments. But with the Katsina Community Watch, we are able to push this bandit back to the frontline local government that borders the forest, and the battle is now within that area and also in a hard-to-reach area. So the target of the bandit now is on the hard-to-reach areas, that is those that can take you 2-3 hours before you reach the location from the main road. So these are the areas, and these are the battles that we are really fighting. But I believe that with time and then the support and what have you, we can be able to surmount the problem. My only call is a lot of synergy needs to be on ground on the security agencies to work together, those providing intelligence, those on the air, those ground troops, and the police doing their own duties, as well as the Katsina Community Watch Corps. I think working together and in synergy, if we improve on the synergy and collaboration between the security agencies, I believe that this is something that is surmountable. We can be able to address it.
Okay, let's talk about education now. According to the Nigerian Multidimensional Poverty Index, Katsina State currently ranks 9th. That's among states with the highest number of out-of-school children, because that's 45.9% of the children in Katsina State now are out of school, according to this report. But how is your government deliberately targeting this problem to ensure better access to education and also guarantee its quality?
Yeah, you know, we did a great thing on education, because education, as I said, insecurity has also increased the number of the out-of-school children. But what we are able to do now is we are putting more infrastructures on ground, then by putting more infrastructure on ground. And what I did when I came into office in the first 6 months of my administration was to recruit 7,325 teachers. And this recruitment exercise took place on a merit base, because we didn't do it the way it was being done before, that share was given to all the opinion and stakeholders to provide candidates. But this time around, we said that whoever is eligible should come and sit for examination. After the examination, we conducted an interview, and successful ones were given an appointment. And as I speak to you, all of them are posted into the schools, and they were doing the things that, because no matter the infrastructures you put in place, you cannot be able to achieve anything in education if you don't have quality teachers. And on that note, we were able within the first 1 year of the administration to train over 12,000 teachers in various fields of education, in various aspects. And as I speak to you today, 10,000 are also undergoing training. So, you know, you have to train and retrain teachers so that you get the quality you want. And from the beginning of the administration, in 5 months, under the Agile projects, in 1 year, under the Agile projects, we have built 75 new schools. And I'm just signing an agreement next week after council meeting for also another set of 75 schools. And I'm telling you,
spread across
the state. That is junior and secondary school. And then apart from the collaborative effort we are doing between the UBEC and the SUBEB in the states by joint funding, in which about 361 schools were rehabilitated, that is primary schools. And the thing is ongoing. And then we came up under the Agile project with a scheme in which we give grant to schools. And these grants that we give to school to the communities will put themselves together and repair all the infrastructure, provide water and everything. As I speak to you, we have provided about $60,000 to about 115 schools. We provided $100,000 to about 15 schools, which amount to about 1.5 billion naira. And recently, we have provided for 100 schools, which is about 44 million in each school, so that they can put up the infrastructure in the school, provide furniture and what have you. And I believe if this program continues, we'll continue, and we have improved the feeding of the boarding schools, because when we came on board, we increased the feeding allowance for the boarding students to about 100%. So these are all things that we are putting in place and providing quality education and reducing the number of out-of-school children and also enhancing the good quality. And then I promised during my campaign that I will set up 3 model schools. These model schools will be, the admission will be purely on merit. As I speak to you, the first of the 3 model schools is about to be completed, because we have gone over 50% in completing the school. And that school will be a school of arts. It will be a qualitative, and then the kind of education you find there is to provide opportunities to to people who doesn't have the opportunity to take their children to the private schools. We want to provide that. It will be all of it will be so technical. We'll have internet 24 hours, we'll have electricity, we have computers, we have everything in that school that we provide for the children of the poor, who will get admission purely on merit. And in the area of education, we are also able to send some students outside the state, outside the country. As I speak to you now, 48 students were already in Cairo studying MBBS, and they went there purely on merit. And we are sending 68 of our best students to India to study artificial economy and artificial intelligence and bioeconomics. So these are the things that we are doing to integrate the system and give our students much needed exposure, so that together we can have a better state.
Still speaking of education now and the high number of out-of-school children, you know, out of this number, a large percentage again are girls. What are you doing to target young girls to ensure that indeed their education is not cut short and they also have equal access?
You know, those things of the past has greatly reduced in the northern part of the country. The northern part of the country, before, there was this tradition and culture in which girls doesn't go to school and they usually get married immediately after their primary education or what have you. But now things have changed. Parents are pushing their children, their girls to go into schools because there are so many women that they see outside that serve as a motivation to them. Like, you know, that was also one of the things that informed my decision to ensure that I have quite a number of women in my cabinet so that can be a source of motivation to the younger girls so that they will support to do it. If you go to our schools now, if you go to secondary and primary schools, you will find out that the number of children, the female students are sometimes almost equal or greater than the male. So I think there is a lot of improvement in that aspect, and we are working seriously toward it. And this program that we are doing with the World Bank Agile program is targeting women. And a kind of support is even given to the parents so that will not allow the mothers to take them for hawking and other things on the street. So they get kind of support in any kind to promote the idea of taking the girls into the...
Okay, you are also the chairman of the Northwest Governors Forum, and recently you led the Northwest Governors to the UN Resident and Humanitarian Coordinator to seek support for the region in confronting issues of insecurity, poverty, large out-of-school children, drug abuse, unemployment. Now let's talk about youth unemployment in your state, Katsina State. It's high in the region, in the Northwest, but in your state, Katsina State, and you know that this is also one factor that fuels insecurity and restiveness. What are you doing differently to target this?
When we came in as government, we were targeting the kinetic approach to insecurity. But later we realized that there are a number of reasons that leads into this insecurity. And what are these reasons? First of the reasons was injustice. There was a lot of injustice being meted to the Fulanis, which leads to taking arm by the Fulanis to become bandits. And then secondly, then there is this issue of illiteracy. A lot of them are illiterate, and because of illiteracy, they can do any kind of thing, they don't feel anything. And then thirdly, there is poverty. Poverty in the sense that these bandits that are in the bush, all their logistics services and supplies are coming from the towns and villages nearby. And then that means some people were aiding it. All the information, those people we call as informants, they were from the towns and villages. So what informed that is you see a young man being given only 500 or 1,000 to take an illicit drugs to this bandit, or to take food or water or bread or what have you. So you mean what motivated them into doing that? What motivated them into doing that is poverty. Because they lack unemployment, they lack a lot of things, so they have to do that. So as we are tackling the insurgency and we are killing the bandits, arresting them, so we are they are equally getting more recruits. Why are they getting recruits? Because there is no job, there is unemployment. So what we are targeting now is, just this week, or I said last week, Wednesday, I launched a program which we call MSME, Katsina MSME Funds. Yeah, we provided 5 billion for anybody who is interested to go into business, to be a provider of employment, not somebody looking for white-collar job. We provided that funds in collaboration with the Bank of Industry. We provided a matching fund of 2 billion. The BOI provided 2 billion, and we equally provided another 1 billion, which is a managed fund. It's our own fund given to the BOI to manage for us, to provide for those kind of young men who wants to go into businesses. And as I speak to you, we also had another matching fund of 1 billion, 500 from Katsina State Government, 500 from Smedan, and also matching it to provide for macro, small and medium industry. And the same this last week, we also got 2 billion naira from the Grazing Bank, for export, to provide export support to MSMEs. And the state government is also matching 2 billion. So that means we have 10 billion within a cycle for anybody who is interested, either a start-up or somebody who wants to continue with his businesses. And we have put on ground 300, we have launched 136 BDSPs, Business Development Service Providers, in each local government, so that those people will provide the necessary capacity building, mentoring and counseling of those MSMEs so that they can be able to grow together and create a market chain. And then that is one aspect. Another aspect we want to address poverty is on the aspect of agriculture. Agriculture is the mainstay of agriculture of the people of Katsina State. And 90% of our population are into agriculture, and most of them subsistence farming. So if you want to improve on any kind of job opportunity, you have to look at two areas in agriculture. Look at irrigation. Irrigation will allow farmers to go all year round. After 4 months of the rain-fed season, then you now go into irrigation. If you provide facilities and you provide the enabling environment, it will create a situation whereby they don't have any time to waste. Yeah. All the year round will be producing. And once you are producing all year round, so it means you have better improvement on your income. And once you have income, just last month, we were able to provide fertilizer to our farmers was 21 billion naira. And this fertilizer, we took it to all polling units in the state. And you know that we have 6,652 polling units in the state, and we were able to provide bags of fertilizer to a ratio based on the performance and the productivity of all the areas to each and every farmer as a very subsidized rate of about 50% subsidy.
But Your Excellency, some people have said now, you talked about agriculture. Why agriculture has not been so attractive and farmers have not been very productive is also because of insecurity. A lot of farmers can't go to their farms for fear of maybe being kidnapped or attacked by bandits. And I'm bringing you to this point where in the National Assembly now we saw a bill for an act to ban open grazing because they say that the clashes between farmers and herders is what has also affected or threatens food security in the country. And we have also seen opposition to this bill. Some people say, no, it's not what we should be talking about now. What's your own view about this
I think it's not about open or closed grazing. This is not what is happening in Nigeria. This is not our major problem. It's not about the problem that is happening in Katsina, Zamfara, Sokoto, Koibi, Kaduna State. It's not farmers' hardest crisis. This is pure criminality. This is banditry. This is kidnapping. So what the relationship has open grazing has to do with these things that are happening in our areas. What is happening in our area is pure criminality. And what is happening, we have to squarely address it as such. One. Secondly, when you look at agriculture, the scale of the discussion is not as it is for those of us who are on ground. We all came from Katsina. People will come to the television and say all kinds of things, which are not true. Something that some people have not even visited Katsina for 6 months. But they will come and tell you stories about what is happening in Katsina. But I'm telling you, 90% of the lands in Katsina are being cultivated despite the insecurity. There is being production in Batsari, there is being production in Paskari, there is being production in Sabua, there is in Dandumi, there is in Kankara, there is in Damusa, there is in Sapana. For somebody, these are the highest areas that are being affected by this insurgency. But I know there are some farms which are close to the forest and which are very vulnerable or hard to reach areas. Those ones, they are not under cultivation.
So that means you don't support this bill for an act to ban open grazing?
No, but there is need for us to encourage ranching. I'm not supporting or opposing, but I'm saying there is need for us to embrace the issue of ranching, because ranching is more profitable. Ranching has value addition. It's all like this thing that cause a lot of problems, but we can't do it. We can't take the herds out of the street just in a very short. We need to give time so that people will be enlightened. There will be a lot of sensitization. There will be a lot of encouragement for people to go into ranching than to go into open grazing, because ranching is more profitable, ranching is more secured. You secure your thing very well and you make more money in ranching. So I was in Brazil And I saw what we are talking about when we are speaking about ranching. And we are trying now to encourage it. What the state government is doing now, we are now putting up some ranches, small ranch for goat, for sheep, for cattle. That with that, when people see value and get attracted to what we are doing, in that then you get everybody to embrace it. So you don't need to go shouting and making it an issue and politicizing everything. All we should do is we should look at the country, look at the various diversity that we have, look at the various culture and tradition we have, and try to accommodate all those things so that we become one and stay as a country.
Okay, sir, before we go, we have just about 3 more minutes now. You are following the conversation about the ongoing negotiation for a new national minimum wage. And the Nigerian Governors Forum has come out to say that the governors cannot afford to pay 60,000 naira, even though we've seen a proposal now of 62,000 naira. But yet records show that monthly federal allocations to states have significantly improved. And people are wondering, why don't they want to pay?
Okay, let me just give you an example of my state. I'm not going to speak on any other state, but I'm just going to speak about my state. My monthly allocation since the improvement has not passed 10 billion. And when you look at the wage, when you look at the pension, when you look at the overhead on all other things, it takes about over 50% of what we collect. And this is just how many number of civil servants I have in the state. They are not more than 50,000. And I have a population of about I have a population of about 10 billion estimated population. So when you look at it, it means when I have increase of salaries to about another 100%, so maybe the state will be left with little or very nothing, barely nothing to run the government. That means you cannot run the government, you cannot do any other thing, and then you have to look at it is only in Nigeria that we have one single minimum wage. Lagos is making about 60 billion in a month. Katsina is making now with improvement. When we came on board, we made about 700, 600, 500. Now Katsina is making about 1.4, 1.3, 1.5. So how can you compare a person that is earning 60 billion with a person that is earning 1.5 billion? And even as such, even if we put everything on ground, every mechanism, every instrument to collect tax in Katsina State, I cannot be able to, I can't collect tax 10% of what Lagos is collecting. Why? Because the economy in Lagos is a different economy from what is in Katsina. The economy in Kano is different from the economy in Katsina. Kano being a nerve center of a business for the northern part of this country. So we have to see the peculiarities of all the states and also cut our cake according to our sizes. Because when you say that you are going to put a minimum wage for everyone, that means you don't look at the federation. Because we are living in a country that we call a federation. And it is only in Nigeria that you see a minimum wage all for everyone, for all categories of people, and for all manner of people. If you go to other countries, you see different states having different minimum wage. And it's not even about the minimum wage. It's about sustainability and affordability. What is the need for the state government to agree to pay 100,000 naira, whereas they will not implement it, they will not pay it? As I speak to you today, there are still states in Nigeria that are not observing the 30,000 minimum wage. So what is the essence of having a minimum wage that is not affordable and not sustainable? Whatever we will agree, we should be sincere to ourselves. Can we pay it? If we can pay it, then we go for it. But there is no point for us to politicize it and come to the television and tell people that no, Katsina is going to pay minimum wage, and after everything I could not be able to meet up to that. What is the need of lying to the people?
All right.
We can't politicize things in this country. We better leaders need to tell the people the truth.
All right, then. Thank you so much for your time on the program. Executive Governor of Katsina State, Malam Dikko Umar Rada. We appreciate your time on the program, sir.
Thank you so very much.
Well,